Pay your people better. April 17th, 2026. Get up in there. All right, come on. I know you can do it. There we go. Oops, let's not cover the lens. And I didn't turn it off. Good. So my Instacart driver, when they picked up my adult multivitamins, gave me children's multivitamins. So I have to take one of each, because children's don't get all the same that adults get, and vice versa. So I thought one of the boxes that I was using as a trash can was going to fit in the trash chute. How many does this say anyway? Supplements. 2 for children 4 and up. So yeah, 1 for me. And then 1 for me. Oh, nom, 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 nom. But unfortunately, the trash box did not fit. So I made a mess in the trash chute area. Not ideal. The lock on my door doesn't really work anymore. At least the electronic lock doesn't. So I can't lock my door on my way out. Because whoever the fucking genius it was that thought using electronic locks on doors failed to recognize that that might be an issue. Like, whose fucking dumb idea was that? I mean, it's a housing unit. It's not like it's not like an office building where people, just, even then, when I worked in an office building as a security guard, I had actual fucking keys to places. I mean, sure, some of them had access cards. I mean, but that's the funny thing, too. Now, of course, this was 20 years ago, roughly, because I started in late 26, so 25 and a half, or 19 and a half years ago. But, like, yeah, to get into the building, if it was locked, I had to use an access card. But then, like, a lot of the office buildings, or a lot of offices, had actual keys. But at the same time, this isn't where people live. Like, a person does not generally view their workspace the same as their living space. Like, they're not going to bring specific personal things with them that if, let's say, they were damaged or stolen, they're going to have as much of a problem as if, let's say, they were at home, where they have, like, personal documents or, sentimental things, whatever it is, valuables, because the home is a little different. So right now, like, leaving is unsecured. Every now and then, I know it would be better if I actually had, like, some kind of regular manicure, but I'm still waiting on the fucking gift card, because like, the tax refund ain't happened yet. I got the California one, and I bought a lot of my cleaning shit, and the big mason jars and everything, and the stuff for the cold brew. Speaking of, but once I'm done with this here video, I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to ask him again. Hopefully I'll get it, but I'm going to bet not. I'm going to do it again on Monday. So I decided to just postpone going to the comedy club for the time being until my physical therapy is done. Because it's like, I'm just exhausted. And then even just trying to take a shower after the fact is a pain in the ass. So I ended up sleeping in my filth. Yeah, I'm going to say that for all intents and purposes, specifically for me, no one else, maple syrup serves no purpose. For the amount of money that I paid for that, I can get at least this much in just one kind of sugar. In fact, I can probably get 2 of these for the same price as that maple syrup. So, one of these or 2 of these. And this is the more expensive sugar. This one was like closer to, I don't even remember. Like $6? So like this sugar that I had over here, this specific brand of sugar, it's that little, it's a little plastic bag with kind of semi-sugar, raw sugar, but not really raw. I don't really know exactly what it is when it comes to the general, like, purity of the sugar. But it's a great price for the amount of sugar that you get. So I'm going to keep doing that instead of the maple syrup. Now you could say, Justin, why are you wasting the maple syrup then? Because I don't have any other purpose for it. Like, I don't have a waffle maker. And like, what kind of waffles am I getting otherwise? I don't like pancakes. Like, I'll 1 or 2 and then I'm done. Because it doesn't matter how fresh they are. It doesn't matter how homemade they are. They just get gluey really fast. Even if you don't drown them in syrup. It's just, it doesn't feel, and it's just like, it's too much bulk for what the food is. It doesn't have like a waffle is awesome because it's crunchy. Because that Maillard reaction is all over the goddamn place. It's such an amazing amount of surface area. All those little pockets for syrup, but you don't have to have every single one of them filled up with syrup. So you have a little bit of heterogeneousness, heterogeneity, as Adam Ragusa likes to say, heterogeneity. Got my little funnel. I think I already mentioned that. Anyway. But yeah, it's like maple syrup just isn't a necessity in my life. One might say, oh, well, why don't you use it as an alternative for sugar in some of your baked goods or whatever? And I'm just like, I don't, again, for basically 2 of those mason jars, I can get, it's the same cost. And since I'm poor, I'm not really in a position to be like experimenting too much when it comes to food pricing. Especially now with the goddamn war on and everything going up in price. It's like I saw I've got these water filters for my water filtration system. Now, I don't only drink that water. I will drink water from the tap. Now, I'm not fond of the water from the tap. It doesn't have the texture and flavor that I like. Whereas, versus with the water filter, it's great. Like, I can drink that water filtered water by the gallon. It feels like not so much with the tap water. And that's just been a thing with LA in general. So, what I'll do then with that is I'll get me one of these guys. I get a bottle like this, fill it up with some water, and then since it doesn't have any yet, I will get something like one of these. This was like, I think it's like $3. I think they started around $2.50 when I first bought them. That was within the last year and change. And the reason I bought these, by the way, this is sugar-free. But whatever the sugar, let me see what the other sugar substitute is, please. I think it's aspartame. Yep, it's aspartame. Yep. I don't know of any other sugar sweeteners that are listed on there. Alternatives, rather. Aspartame, for me, specifically, is perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with it. I don't like the taste, especially the aftertaste of like stevia or sorbitol or any other alcohols. They have a weird aftertaste. It ruins it. When I first tried Splenda, my mother put it. She was like, "Okay, I gotta do half and half." So that's what I did, and I made banana bread. And banana bread was like her dish that I loved. Like, of all the things that I remember her making on a regular basis, that I actually really enjoyed was her banana bread. And that fucking Splenda ruined it. And I don't like much of my mother. There's not much she's done that I enjoy. Like, she's always ruined fucking pork chops. Her chicken breast was always paper. You know, she always wanted to have basically charcoal for a steak, which, like, what's the fucking point at that point? Especially when you're feeding it to another person and you're not taking their opinion on it. It's like, okay, you want to cook your steak for 15 minutes, cook mine for 7. I started eating steaks at medium well because she always wanted well done, and I hated that. And so then I decided, I try them in medium, and like I haven't tried mid-rare yet, but yeah, almost all those sweeteners are crap. So that's why whenever I go to the store, and the reason I even got those is because of Liam, the plant slant, and how he was talking. There were videos that would see every now and then him talking about how you try to add things, not subtract when it comes to your diet. Try to add more fruit, try to add more vegetables, try to add more fiber. Obviously, I've got me some beans. Beans. And I mean, that's not all of them. I've got 6 cans at the moment, including that Big Bush's can. And I try to have at least, one of those on a rig. Try to get at least 2 of them to the ones that I have. Got some garbanzo beans, which I haven't really found too much of a use for. I did blend them up like last fucking week. And I was going to get some pita, but I just haven't been to the store for exhaustion purposes. And now it's like I don't even want to go to the store because my fucking thing's locked. Or unlocked because stupid bullshit with the electronic lock. So I gotta go downstairs. I gotta ask about the gift card again. And I gotta ask about that. There was something else I needed to fucking talk. Oh, I need to also put money on my laundry card. So it's $4.25 per load. It's just so expensive. And I gotta clean the blankets that I have, so that's gonna be $8.50 just for the 2 blankets that I have. So I tried washing them together, and it just didn't want to. It was just, here, let's make them soaking wet, and then spend an extra $20 fucking drying the damn things. I did at least sweep up and mop in the foyer and then in the bathroom. I finally used the mop, so that was good. I have to do something about that in here at some point, but that's the thing. It's like I don't even want to try it until I'm able to leave this place for a period of time. And then, it's like, because then I can like sweep up and then I'll vacuum up, a little bit after the fact. Because what I'll do is I'll sweep the area, I'll vacuum up the stuff that I swept up. Then I'll also go over the area with the vacuum and then I'll hit it with the mop. That way I can kind of like try to maximize the cleanliness with limited effort overall. Because, each one of them isn't really too much of a problem. It's just like getting the energy to fucking do it. And then to continue to do it is also, because then switching is also a bit of a pain. It's an ADHD brain, man. It's fucking annoying. Yeah, it's, then I gotta also try to switch my phone over to Tag Mobile. I have an account, I have a phone number with them and everything. But I gotta port my number. So I'm gonna contact them. And their customer service ends at like 7 p.m. So I've got time, but not a lot. But yeah, with the physical therapy just draining me. Like today I should go downstairs and get on the exercise bike, at least for a little bit. Tomorrow tomorrow I gotta go to the doctor's office, to the PCP. I've got to change off my contact information for one, but I gotta see if I'm gonna talk to the doctor about my back, about the new injury. And while it's not as problematic as it has been, as it was a month ago, it's still problematic enough for me to give concern. Because like yesterday, before I went to the PT, it's like, so one of the things that I try to remember, and I got this from the chiropractor, which, some of the stuff that he told me to do was okay, but the whole, like, here, you're going to lay down on your stomach for 30 minutes and have electrodes on your back and a lamp on, trying to loosen it up, I guess, or whatever. Like, that just, it felt like it wasn't doing anything. Like, within a day, I was feeling stupid shit. At least here, I could feel the flexibility. And even yesterday, he was talking, the physical therapist was like, hey, I've noticed these positive changes in your ability to do all the various stretches and exercises and stuff. I'm like, that is information that I definitely need. I am one of those people that absolutely needs positive feedback, especially for something like that, because I want to know if I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Or, if I'm doing it wrong or whatever, I want to get that immediate feedback. And I'm sure, he knows, because if you start doing something wrong, there's a good way to injure yourself. And that may have been what I did to myself. I don't know. He's got me doing sink squats where you basically grab onto the sink and then do a squat, which is like, at least I can do it here. That's cool. I'll just have to try to remember to do it. I'm terrible at remembering to do shit, because then it's like I have like home stuff I have to remember to do too. I have to remember to sweep. I have to remember to clean dishes. I have to remember to take a fucking shower. Because like even at the shelter, it was easier to remember to take a shower because I didn't have any fucking thing to do there. Now it's like I gotta clean clothes, I gotta organize my shit, I gotta, I gotta like organize rides to and from medical facilities, because I use the Motive Care for that. And, you know, it's like my mind is taken up by so much stuff. So, like, when I feel like I can take a break, one of the things that I do is I just get on the internet and start goofing off. And I know that takes up all my time. I'm aware of it. I know of it. I'll procrastinate all kinds of crap for one reason or another. Because, like, it's so very hard for me to like, once I'm finished with something, I feel like I'm done. And to then have to move from that to another thing, it's a lot of energy. It's mentally taxing. It's sometimes physically taxing. Like, I had plenty of sleep last night, but I still feel exhausted. It's one of the reasons why I take coffee, because sometimes it helps. Sometimes it just knocks my ass back out, which is funny. But I was getting back on the thing about yesterday before I went to the doctor's office. And it was like, so one of the things that happened when I was with the chiropractor a couple of years ago is he had me do like high knee marches in place. And that was when I realized like something was wrong. Like I knew something was wrong anyway beforehand. But like further, and it's still the same problem where I'll feel this like clicking, popping sensation, right? Sometime last week, I did something like that before I went to the doctor or to the physical therapist. I think he's a doctor, but I don't know. But I know he's a physical therapist, so it probably is. Definitely went to med school because he told me about it. Originally, he used to work on a submarine in the Navy, which, crazy. But, anywho, sometime last week while I was doing that, it felt like my bones and muscles were shifting and reorganizing themselves. It was the weirdest sensation. He's like, yeah, you're basically, you know, it's like your physiology is settling. And I'm just like, I didn't think of it at the time, like, what, chips in a bag? But yesterday, a new thing happened before I went to the physical therapy office, which was on my left side, I started feeling pains and twinges. And I was like, fuck, I don't know what the hell that's going to be. And yeah, obviously I'm overweight. And it's not that I'm trying to maintain it. It's that it can be difficult at times to get the energy to do things mentally and physically. And then, you know, I was in the process of trying to do something better for myself. And then I get injured somehow, either because of the previous situation or maybe because I was doing poor form or something else. I don't know. And so I try to do better for myself, and then some shit goes down. Or I lose my housing, or I lose my job, or whatever the fucking situation is. And some of it's my fault, and some of it's not my fault. And it's just like, obesity is not one thing. It's not. Of course, you can look at it and say, well, it's calories in versus calories out, which is true, technically. But life is not one thing. And life is, because life is so many things, those things can increase your probability of obesity. You know, like having an injury can increase your probability of obesity, because now you will become more sedentary. Having certain types of injuries can increase your probability of obesity to a greater degree. If you have a hip problem, you'll probably get obese faster than, let's say, if you have a foot problem, because your hip is much more literally pivotal, but also figuratively pivotal in day-to-day life. Like I had to choose which therapy I was going to do, my arm or my hip. And I was like, the hip is more important. Like, it's more necessary for more things across most of my life. I need to do hip related physical therapy. And so he agreed, and we moved forward with that. And so I'm not getting any physical therapy on my fucking shoulder at all. Now, some of the stuff that he's doing kind of has an element of, like when I'm doing the sink squats where I'm literally like standing in front of the swing, grabbing the fucking sink edge, so to speak, and then, like squatting down, like there is some aspect to this, but it's not dealing with the range of motion issues that I have. We're not even testing for it or anything. It's all hip related shit. It's core, it's hamstrings, it's quads. My piriformis muscle on my right hand side is very tight, which is probably in association with the injury that I had. And so it's like overcompensating to try to maintain that stability, especially because like my core muscles aren't that great. And at the time I was working out at the gym at work. Like I had time, and it wasn't like I wasn't exhausted, because when I first started working at the rehab place, I was working at night and I was constantly exhausted. I was trying not to fucking fall asleep. So I'd play EverQuest a goddamn night. I'd still end up falling asleep anyway sometimes. And so, like, once I started working there in the day and I was like awake and alert, and like I was moving from one client to the next or one task from the next, and it wasn't an internal motivator, it was an external motivator, and I had quite a bit more coffee too. I could stop and like do 10 squats or whatever, or pick up the 25-pound dumbbells and then like walk down the driveway and walk back up for a farmer's carry. And I was getting shit from like one specific client, and I was like, try it out. And then every time I did it and he saw me, he's like, Justin, it's not a fucking workout. And I'm like, yeah, it is. You just got to try it. And even some of the clients would, start backing me up on it. But he was always aggro anyway. And it was probably just because he had some sort of insecurity issues, which is normal. He'd probably be prime target for the current manosphere. But he just had that, I feel like I'm an alpha type personality. But that type of personality is also like the superiority complex and the inferiority complex, they're both based on insecurity. And once you're secure in yourself, you don't give a fuck about that shit anymore. And you just do whatever the fuck you want, which is great. Unless, of course, you can't afford to, or, other things are in the way. But, because, it's like, and, then there will be people who are like, well, there's like these disabled people who can do it. Like, yeah, how many support systems do those people have in their lives? How many family members, how many friends, how many, like, other are helping to support that person financially, or, when it comes to tasks, etc. It's like, hey, give me a call anytime you need. I'll drive you wherever you got to go. Boom. That'll take care of a lot of problems. A person with Down syndrome, for instance, very likely is not going to be doing, like, they are often less capable of being fully independent. And so they have to have somebody who does a lot for them on the regular. Because in many ways, they are mentally similar to that of a child. But then you can have a Down syndrome person who is doing fucking weightlifting and shit. Well, so can a child. When they don't have any responsibilities, and they don't have, and let's say they don't have parents who are treating them like shit and making them walk on eggshells all the fucking time, and that person is afraid of doing anything because everything they do is going to be scrutinized and probably considered wrong. Or, like, doing something else that's fun is antithetical to the things that are expected of you in the household. Like, I was basically the person who had to clean everything. I was the one that had to clean the house. Yet I got no education on how to do it. So I had to fucking learn, and in the process get fucking yelled at all the time. Mowing the lawn, I always did it wrong, had to redo it. Nobody showed me how to do it. Nobody showed me how to mow the lawn correctly. I never got a proper lesson. And you can make things like that fun. But if you're a terrible person who just wants your kid to do whatever the fuck you want, because you're a lazy motherfucking narcissistic shit, well, you're not going to try to teach that kid how to do this thing in any kind of fun way. That kid is there to be your slave, essentially, which is what my parents treated me like. You know, it's like I was supposed to look into the what was it, the dishwasher every day to see if there were any dishes that needed to be put away. They weren't trying to help me out by saying, hey, there's dishes in the dishwasher. You know, it was like my responsibility to always check. And me being the ADD little fuck, if I don't see it, I'm probably not going to think about it. You know, I think about more of the stuff that I have in my current life, but that's because it's mine and I'm the one that put it there. But even then, I still forget. You know I have multiple jackets. I don't remember which one they're in. I think I'm right and that it's here. Okay, yes, it is. But that's because I only got 6. And I was like, it's probably on the bottom. And it's probably not the one at the very bottom on the far right, because that's my probably never going to use it box, so to speak. So, yeah, I never got proper education on how to clean. So I didn't know what was necessary to do it successful. And then every time I did it, it was always wrong. So I had to do it again. But because I had never learned how to do it right, I did it wrong again anyway. And it was like, there was always a ring around the tub, right, in the bathtub. And I'm like, one, nobody ever took baths. So I don't even know how that happened. Unless it was there before we got there. Because we always went and lived in like fixer-upper houses. For some fucking reason. And so they were always trying to like fix the place up. But then they were getting me to do all the work too. Like, sure, you know, there's some things I couldn't do. You know, I couldn't fucking dig a hole in with a post hole. To a degree, I could when I was a teenager. And it was just like, I hated living in all those houses because they made me do so much fucking work in them. And it's just, and then you never showed me how to fucking do it right. Sometimes they did, like with the post hole digger thing. But like mowing the lawn, nobody ever showed me how to do it right. You know, vacuuming, nobody ever showed me how to do it right. Cleaning dishes, although most of the time it was the dishwasher, which was nice and all, but like, you know, nobody helped me with my mental disabilities because they weren't dealing with their own. Because if they had been, they probably wouldn't have had any fucking kids in the first place. And it's just like, you know, to kind of bring it back somewhat loosely. I know it's a poor segue, but it's like with this building, right? This building already has a lot of problems. It just started. Like the fact that my lock doesn't lock from the outside now. How did nobody think of that? Any intelligent person would have been like, what happens when the lock doesn't work? How is this person who lives here, who is a low-income resident, who is going to be dealing with financial insecurity most likely, who probably has been dealing with financial insecurity, who deals with the sense of, you know, problems of safety and self-assuredness that revolve around the concept of safety, because like the safer you are and the safer you feel, those things can change the way that you behave. And if a person does not feel financially safe, they probably also don't feel physically safe either. And like some of the stuff that I've heard, like if you replace your card, it takes 24 hours for it to activate? It makes no fucking sense. How is that a thing? Like, who made that? Who designed that? Like, how is it in a world of instant fucking transmission? How is an access card, something a living space. How is that a thing? But like, on two scales, how is that a thing for living spaces? But also, how is that a thing at all? How is it not function now? What is happening in a 24-hour, like, what are the actual things, the actual, like, transmissions that are happening that take 24 hours? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I used to be a security guard for, like, one was a 20-story building, one was a 4-story building. And one was like a 14-story building, but it had like 3 floors that were actually occupied. The rest were basically empty. If I ever needed to replace somebody's card, I just replaced their card. And, you know, like, they even had, like, because it wasn't something that was super commonplace, they had an instruction, they had a recipe, basically. They had the instructions on how to accomplish it. And every person was listed in the system. Every business was listed in the system. The businesses and the persons were associated. You know, it's like all of these things, and it was just like, okay, you click, it's like, the simplest form was, okay, who is this person? Where do they work? Okay. Well, you had to flip it. You had to choose which office it was, which of the actual, like, businesses were there, and then it would populate a list of the actual employees. And so then you could go and you could look to see who that person was. Okay, click on that, whatever. And then it's like you activate the card and you just, you know, we had several boxes of just blanks. And, you know, they're like the thick-ass Honeywell ones. These are, like, worse than your everyday fucking credit cards. And, you know, it was just like, click on, you know, find the business, click on that. Find the person, click on them. Do whatever, you know, maybe there was, like, some security-related stuff. Like, is this person going to be working after 7 o'clock or whatever it is? And, you know, like, there was just a couple of other prompts, and then you click on the thing, and it, like, it took us, like, maybe 5 seconds to properly magnetize it or whatever, and then that was it. And I'm just like, and I was like, if you're having any problems with it, you know, I can even take you around if you need to, whatever. Often, sometimes, you know, I think I maybe did 5 of those cards. I think twice the people wanted me to, like, show, you know, like, to actually check with them. The other times they were like, yeah, whatever, you know, if it comes to it, I'll just come back for it later. I was like, all right, cool. And I'm just like, why would it take 24 hours for the card to activate, to work on the system that's here? So yeah, I don't understand. Because what happens if, like, multiples start failing all at once? Like, do they have little batteries in them that just need replacing? Is it something else that's going on? You know, is it a power related? I don't know. But I think I've talked for too long anyway, so have fun.